Africans, we lie a lot as if we know where we're from. Most of us can't tell you 2 generations past where we are from. And I've had the privilege of traveling in Africa a lot as well. And my identity is ubiquitous. Right? Nobody could tell where I'm from by looking at me. When I'm in Nigeria, they think I'm Igbo. I could go to Ghana, they think I'm Ghanaian. The average Gambian may look at me and look at us and say, you don't look Gambian. I'm just African. So, and part of the book is there's a chapter I talk about life as a hyphen where I'm African. I think I'm from the western part of Africa. That's what I identify the strongest with, is my identity as an African. But I have a Gambian cultural background and heritage by virtue of my mother, who's really Senegambian and not even Gambia. That's a whole nother chapter about
you can go down that
the number the white men did on Africa.
Yes.
But I think I'm just African, and
I might be West African too. We don't know. You know, and
I doubt it.
Is that good or bad?
No, but you know, a lot of Africans don't do ancestry DNA because they think we know where we're from.
Yeah.
I urge any African right now to do ancestry DNA.
Is it accurate?
And you might be applying for a new passport. Just saying.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
We didn't have borders, and we talked about the scramble for Africa. These are imaginary lines between different ethnic groups that travel and migrate to different regions for trade, war, all of these different factors. And now we had late 1800s borders, created, and now we're just claiming that identity. So we're not, are we really Gambian? Are you really Ugandan? Is that an accurate representation of who you are and what your real ancestry?
Africans do not like Black Americans. So this is a fact.
No, it's an opinion, and a very asinine one at that. Because Africa is a continent with 54 countries and over 1.2 billion people. A statement such as Africans don't like African Americans is a very ludicrous statement because, one, it's perpetuating this narrative that there is beef and animosity between Africans and African Americans. And two, what that is doing is it's generalizing an entire continent based off of the actions of a couple of African hairdressers who live in America. And this is coming from someone who has traveled to 4 out of 54 of the African countries. Okay, so I went to Tanzania and I was treated like royalty. People were bowing at my feet. I felt like I was some type of long lost queen who had finally returned to the land. Let's talk about Ghana. Ghana was one of the most beautiful countries that I ever visited. I had a family who opened up their home to me. They were feeding me 3 times a day. We were living by the beach. They were doing so much to just make me feel welcomed and loved. So this is for all of my African American people. Go to Africa. Go to the different countries that are there. Learn some of the languages. Learn some of the cultures there, because this is the thing. There are more similarities than differences between Africans and African Americans. And we need to kill this narrative. We need to break the plane and start the conversation so that we can get to know each other and enjoy the beautiful continent that we call the motherland, Africa, Azania. Okay? Peace and blessings, y'all.
Africans hate Black Americans. The lies y'all tell. The lies. Listen, I know that there are bad apples in every group throughout the diaspora. Shout out to the FBAs. But when I went to Africa, South Africa, Johannesburg, got so much love. Buti Wami, which is my brother, like, respect. They accepted me. They gave me a Zulu name, Kanya, which means the light. Look, I'm living it right now. I'm a living testament. It made me immediately see that was a lie that America sells us to kind of create this division, right? And that's what they do. They conquer with divisiveness and fear. And so I immediately was like, no, that's not true. They love us. And ain't no they. We are one. We are them. we are African too. They say, look, you are African too. You just got on the ship. That's the only, some of us, that's the only difference. The shit is the only difference that separates us. And so when you want to go to Africa, of course, do your research. Of course, it's good to know somebody. We can use these platforms. I have a group. If you want to join, DM me. That connects Black Americans with Africans throughout the diaspora, or I'll say American Africans. Shout out to the Dr. Umar. But yeah, so it's something that they sell us to make us not want to go there, to deter us, and to create this unwarranted hatred that's a lie. And so I say to you, before you decide that someone hates you or something is bad, try it yourself. But you can just go outside and see that ain't true, right? And so you gotta stop allowing social media to program you and brainwash you into thinking that something is bad unless you absolutely tried it yourself. Stay blessed. Stay tuned for my journey. You know what it is. Peace from Khalees.
But can we just talk about how African Americans and Africans don't even look that different?
I am convinced that a lot of West Africans do not have a good idea of what they actually look like. Because as a Black American, I can tell from a mile away whether you're Black American or whether you're African. And it has nothing to do with your facial features. It has nothing to do with your skin tone. It has nothing to do with your hair texture. I can tell by looking in your eyes whether you are African or Black American. Black Americans are 400 years removed from Africa. Majority of Africans have 90 to 100% African DNA. Majority of Black Americans have about 20% European DNA. So you're not going to sit up here and tell me that I look like someone who has 90 to 100% African in them when I'm 1/3 white. And I think the big issue here is I feel like a lot of African people feel as if a Black American person is saying, oh, we don't look like you, then we're calling you ugly. No, that's not the case. We just don't look like you. Any Black American would be able to look at you and say, oh yeah, you're African, or hey, you're Jamaican, or hey, you're a Black American. Because we as a community have built such a tight-knit community that we know who our people are. We know our kinfolk. And us saying that we do not look like you and that we can tell the difference it's not throwing shade at you at all. It's not saying, oh, you're less attractive or that we're better than you. It's not saying that at all. I've had so many Africans say, oh, you look like you're from South Africa. You look Egyptian. You look like you're from East Africa. You look like everything except for the fact that my ancestry is West African. Honey, no. The features that you see that don't look 100% West African, it's just European DNA. And it's from slavery. And I wish a lot of African people would just stop trying to gaslight Black Americans and just respect the fact that we are a separate group of people with our own cultures, with our own identities, with our own separate looks.
Africans sure got a lot to say about American Blacks. Bet. Africans don't dislike Black Americans because we lost our culture. It's because deep down, y'all jealous. Y'all jealous that we the cultural engine. We created the music, the fashion, the slang that influences the whole world, buddy. Y'all really hate it didn't come from y'all, huh? Y'all bought the lie that we was just descendants of slaves, knowing it wasn't true. Cause real talk, our people was already here, bucko. You not looking down on your long lost brothers and sisters. Y'all looking at a stranger. And that's why our energy don't match. And being all the way real, y'all mad y'all ancestors wasn't taken. You mad y'all still living on dirt roads and battling colonial systems. While the ones you think are lost became the blueprint for the Black global culture. Y'all could dress like us, talk like us, rap like us, but never forget where the sauce came from. And if we was just slaves, why y'all trying to be us? Y'all say we don't know our tribes, but y'all don't know y'all power. American Blacks been through hell and we still came out leaders. We could talk lineage, but make sure you put some respect on that shit. American Blacks don't need to prove our origin. Next time you start hating, make sure you check your reflection, partner. Cause y'all dressing just like the same people you trying to look down on. That ain't hate, that's jealousy. Go on and own that, rub it in your chest.
When the other ethnicities start to talk about the Black American and African beef, that's when you know shit has gone way too far, right?
I've always noticed that whenever someone talks about Black Americans, people use it as an opportunity to shit on them. It happens all the time online and it gets pretty annoying. A random video can portray a black American in a slightly negative light, and the whole comment section will turn into a Klan meeting. And the reason why I specified black Americans is because even African people will find the chance to put them down. I recently made a video about how I find first-generation immigrants to be more relatable than Americans, right? And as an example, I compared Africans to black Americans, and it started a whole war in the comments. Although it was not my intention to divide the community, plenty of people took it that way, and a lot of black Americans called me ignorant for that. But I also got a lot of odd comments from Africans who seemed to have some sort of superiority complex over black Americans, which is pretty odd because to the average uneducated racist person, these two groups are the exact same. It kind of reminds me of India and Pakistan's beef because it's so pointless and it's exactly what the CIA wants. But yeah, I can understand why they can be so defensive after this. The end.
First and foremost, black Americans do not hate Africans, okay? I can't speak for them, but I'll speak for us. Second, when we're talking about one another, it's like cousins talking about each other. We know we family. But when other races start to notice that shit online, we got a problem, right? It's gone too far, and we really need to fix this shit because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for the black community, and it's really not healthy for the African community because I feel like, shit, black Americans hold the keys on how you're treated in America anyways.
What's wrong? Gabrielle said, yeah, they keep making fun of me being African. And she goes, and I will never forget, she goes, well, at least their ancestors weren't slaves. See, at least you have something to connect to. They don't. It's coming. And I go, wow, that's the truth. She goes, that's coming from trauma. That's coming from insecurity. Yeah, but you don't understand that as a 12-year-old. You're just like, they're just making fun of me. Most 40-year-olds don't understand. No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just going to add to that. This is like that trauma I get now as an adult, but I don't think a lot of, like black Americans understand the trauma that also caused because, if you're participating, and you saw it throughout movies, you saw it throughout music. I mean, all of it kind of crapped on the black African immigrants who came to.
I'm starting to wonder if this 154 podcast is just going to be all about black Americans. I mean, do they have any other material? We don't have anything to connect to. At least you don't come from slaves or whatever he said. It's like, since when were black Americans ashamed of our past, ashamed of our history? If anything, we celebrate our history. We celebrate our pioneers and our leaders, Harriet Tubman and all those people who got us to where we are now. Like, we're not ashamed. We're not traumatized by slavery. He's talking about like as a 12-year-old child, it's like he just didn't realize that at that time that all the bullying that he experienced was as a result of the trauma that black Americans had from being descendants of slaves. Does that even make sense to you? I have a 14, almost 15-year-old son. I'm pretty sure that whatever he goes through at school has nothing to do with being a descendant of slaves. I don't think that's what his trauma is probably related to Roblox. I mean, guys, like, let's be for real here. His whole explanation was a cop-out. Whatever that lady was that told him that was a straight-up cop-out. Kids make fun of each other because that's what kids do. Like, we don't have anything to connect to. We can connect to each other. We connect to our ancestors who were slaves. So what, you can't connect to your ancestors just because they were a slave? Do that even make sense? So we can't connect to anything that doesn't connect to Africa. So the only way that we can have a connection to something is if it's from Africa, is basically what he's saying. That's basically what they really think, for real. Oh, you guys don't have a connection to Africa that you can pinpoint. So that means that you don't have a connection at all and you're just traumatized and everything that you do is based off of trauma because you can't remember Africa. But we have main character syndrome, but we think we the center of the earth, that we think we the center of the universe, the center of the fucking world. I think that's starting to sound more and more that that's what these folks think.
Although, Lagini is an open language. I'm open to teaching anybody black, anybody in the diaspora, especially people who experience like the same things we've experienced as far as language loss, culture loss. This is still very much a Black American language, Black American creation. It was created for us. One of the things that I get a little pushback on from like continental Africans, they say like, oh, don't include this, don't include that, don't include our language, like don't include our language. And it's like, well, we are related, man. Like we are related. Like I'm including the languages only from the regions in which we descend from. So you can't tell me I can't speak anything. You feel me? You can't tell me I can't say anything. And then it's crazy that I get a lot of pushback from a lot of people who can't even speak their own language, man. Like learn if you from somewhere else, let's start with learning your language first. Let's start with learning your language first. There's no reason why you should be going so hard to learn a Black American language, even if it is derived from your language. Your language has a lot of information, a lot of value. It controls the worldview of your ethnicity, tribe, whatever it is. You should be trying to learn your language. Why would you keep Samano alive and let your language die? I can't lie and act like it wasn't nothing I didn't expect, though. I definitely expected it, man. The same people who throw crap in our face and say you don't have a culture, you don't have this, you know, because language doesn't validate our culture, like rap, hip hop, whatever. It's all in English. Everything we create is in English. People feel like they just have access to everything we do, everything we got going on. But see, once we put that language barrier up, and you can't come here and just fake the funk and just put on the accent, you have to learn the language so that, you know what I'm saying, to really connect with somebody. You can't tell me I don't have culture when you're speaking my language, you know what I'm saying? You can't say, oh, it's just English, you know what I'm saying? You can't try to flip AAV and make it seem like, oh, this is just English. It's like, no, bro, no. Lagini was created for Black Americans to speak amongst each other. Obviously, like I said, it's open. You know, anybody can learn, but it was created for us to speak amongst each other. It was also created to promote multilingualism. That way, when you learn this, you can learn a little bit of that, you can learn a bit of that, a little bit of that, you can learn a little Yoruba, you can learn a little Igbo, you can learn a little Bambara, and it's not too distant from you. It's not too distant from you. Some words will sound familiar because this is the origins of these words. A lot of places in the world outside of America, people are multilingual. They speak more than one language. So yeah, it's kind of a gateway into promoting that. If you want to upgrade from Samano and go on to learn Yoruba, you can go do that. You can go and learn Bambara, and these words won't sound too strange to you. A lot of it, some things are exactly the same. Like Sheo Fejo, I believe that's how you say, do you want to dance in Yoruba? In Samano, it's the same thing, Sheo Fejo. So it's not too distant, you know, it's not too distant. It's an easy transition into other African languages, especially the languages that make up Lagini. So yeah, like this language it wasn't created to just become like this huge language that everybody speaks. It'd be dope if it does. You know, but I also don't want to see African languages die. You know, a lot of people come here and lose their culture. A lot of people who critique us for not having culture come here and lose their culture, lose the ability to understand their grandparents, lose the ability to tap into that worldview because they lost their language. I don't promote that. So yeah, before learning Samano, please get some tutoring in your own language. Like, please get some lessons in your own language. Tap in with the thousands of year old language that's already ingrained in you before. That way, when you come here to learn Samano, you can contribute to its growth. You know what I mean? Without hindering the growth of your own thing. You know what I mean? Don't lose yourself trying to be a part of what we got going on, for real. That's backwards.
Americans are not Africans.
People out here, what?
The black people ain't Africans.
The black people out here is not from Africa?
They're not from Africa.
Oh, hold on. Where you from?
I'm from Liberia.
From Liberia. And you trying to tell these people that I'm trying to tell them that they're not African?
They're not.
They are already. I don't know why they don't want to hear.
There was black people already here, but
they want to say.
And it wasn't even Native American, bro. It was just dark.
Right.
Here. But black people is not from Africa.
Black people is not from Africa.
Yeah, Anybody who said they're from Africa, bro, that's some dumb. Because Africans don't even people from here, bro.
Now you know it's bad when Africans have to tell you that you're not African. Modern
Look, I'm about to not mind my business, but I don't care. I am so enjoying this beef. I don't know what happened. I don't know why y'all Americans went to do that to yourselves. But now the war between Africans and Americans right now, what is going on? Why did you guys go do that to yourselves? Why did you Yo, these Africans are coming for y'all. Obviously, I'm not American. I'm Canadian, but y'all started something that I don't think you were ready for. And there was no purpose to start that. There was no purpose. Excuse me, I just ate. Your girl is digesting. I wish it was African food, no lie. Okay. But yo, the Africans are not holding back in the comments to die for. Like, to die for. My best part is, funny enough, Americans are no longer African Americans. Like, y'all are no longer African Americans. What happened to the African in your American? What happened to that? I never understood the African American thing that Americans like to call themselves when they're literally Black American. But whatever, I'm not gonna get into it. Like I said, I'm not African. But you know what? I am enjoying this beef right there. Y'all went and poked the wrong bear. Y'all went and poked the wrong bear, and I'm here for all that. See, I'm here for all of it. Y'all, when you guys see a video, an African reply to an American, or stitching something not very smart that an American says, go in the comments. Go live your best life in the comments. You will not regret it. Y'all went to poke the wrong bear. Wap kon George. Wap kon George. Wap cherche problem. Wap kon George. Y'all should have just leave them people alone. Leave their food alone. Leave their braiders alone. Just leave them alone. Y'all enjoyed the cheap price for the braids, no? Now y'all wanna... Americans, only you would do something like that. I'm here for all of it.
Black people and Africans don't even look the same. I mean, look at Black Americans and then look at people from West Africa. You can clearly see that we're different. We don't look the same. So I can understand why Black people have no need to connect to Africa. This is totally false. So many of us have a very generalized view of looking at African culture. This is why we say things like Africans sold other Africans, because what we do not acknowledge the various cultures that existed for hundreds, thousands of years on the continent of Africa, but we show that same degree of respect to cultures in Western Europe. So we'll be quick to discern between a Viking or a Visigoth and a Roman, or a person on the British Isles and the people of Gaul, or the Vandals of the ancient Iberian Peninsula, or the Greeks, etc. Although phenotypically you could just say they look the same if you want to buy into the concept of race. But we acknowledge the difference in culture, but it seems like we don't extend that to West Africa. Like, we wouldn't be willing to look at a person that's Mende and discern between them and a Wolof. We won't look at a person that is Fonte and discern between them and somebody that's Igbo. We won't look at somebody that's Hausa and discern between them and maybe a hunter-gatherer like, the Hadza people. We're just looking at it Black and phenotype. And even with phenotype, we get it wrong, because if you look at people like the Nuer of Sudan, their phenotype is definitely different from the people of Aswan in Egypt, versus the people in Uganda, versus a lot of the groups in Uganda, excuse me. So there's a lot of difference in phenotype. Africa has a polytypic phenotype, just like many Black Americans are going to look vastly different from one another. So it's something that we have to question, because I think when we say Black people don't look like Africans, we kind of buy into a racist narrative of just there's a generic African phenotype when there isn't one. It doesn't exist. Prior to colonialism, any of these events, there was a myriad of phenotypes on the continent. So it's hard to say when you say Black people don't look like Africans, like, what do you mean by that? And also it can open the door for a lot of crazy, wonky theories like people are Israelites or indigenous, but that's a whole different conversation. So Africans have a polytypic phenotype, Black people have a polytypic phenotype. We're not a monolith. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Peace.
What is the difference between African Americans in the United States and Africans on the continent?
Well, the one thing that I will say is Africans on the continent, Frank, have a deep-seated tradition that they've been able to keep and protect, even though Africa as a whole, all 54 countries pretty much are colonized. You have traditions and dances and things that are rich in culture that goes back thousands and thousands of years prior to recorded history. That is a huge advantage over what we had to create from scraps and genetic engineering, overbreeding, all the things that happened to foundational Black Americans over the course of 400 years. I think that the problem has always been, just to what you said when you were with me in New York, is that there is a severe disconnect and that we don't really have that bridge, but we have been colonized in different ways. When you look at how families have been impacted with all of the propaganda, the media, firestorm of you need to be independent. You've got, the black wave of feminism, which in and of itself has been proven to be funded by the CIA, which really interesting. You start to see the erosion of the Black family. And what I find very interesting from a historical perspective is J. Edgar Hoover actually said the two biggest threats to America is the rise of a Black Messiah and Black unity. What is more unified than a Black family? So if you disrupt that, then you get all the chaos that has come after that over the past 40, 50 years. So I think those are distinct differences.
Man, no lie. I think I'm starting to despise the people that say that they not from Africa, the Black people that say they're not from Africa. I say I'm not African American, I'm just American. I was born in America. We are the only ethnic group that doesn't care where we're from, and doesn't take pride in being from somewhere else as well as being American. If you met or grew up with white people, they know where they came here from, where their grandparents from, and they take pride in that as well as being American. We're the only group that don't want to find out and completely write it off and say that we're just American, which I believe was the plan of the slave owners in the first place, was to take us from our homeland, make us forget, and make us hate ourselves. There's no better indication that it worked than a nigga getting online and saying, I'm not from Africa, I'm not African American, I'm just American, because I was just born over here. Bro, that's exactly what the fuck they wanted. That's pissing me off. Just say you don't want to know. You don't know and you don't want to know. Don't completely write it off and say we don't look like them, we don't whatever like them. Bro, we are them. That's the only proof we got. And we were here first. We are the real Native Americans. Where's the proof? And show me a Native American that believe your story. Most of those Oneidas, Menominees, Potawatomis I know, they don't believe that shit. My grandma told me I was a Cherokee. Say that to an Oneida. They gonna think that's funny. That's a joke, bro. So why don't we just don't say we don't want to know, instead of putting online that we hate ourselves and we hate each other. That's what's going on with Black people, bro. And it's just so fucked up. We like the only ethnic group that's not connected to a culture or a place, and we don't care to be. We just think that being a color and subscribing to that and being from here is the be all end all. But being a color and subscribing to that we're from here is accepting the fact that our lineage begins with us in bondage. Why is that enough for y'all? It's not enough for me. I want to know more, if I can know more. My lineage wasn't just shining shit and coming from building a country for nothing and being a slave. I don't get it. We gotta do better, please. This shit's starting to piss me off, low-key.
What's up, beautiful and amazing souls? Thank you so much for being here. I don't take your support for granted. I truly appreciate your presence, guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about something very interesting, and that is about African reaction to Black Americans saying that they forgot where they have come from. And that dates back to history. I mean, how can you forget? It's very interesting. So this conversation, of course, it sounds uncomfortable, unnecessary, but we're going to talk about it because, at the end of the day, these are Black people reacting and talking and actually you can clearly see the black people are responding as well. But the question here that we should be asking ourselves, it's not just but a simple question, but it should be simple and deep. And if you are asked, like, have you really forgotten where you came from, how would you answer that question? How would you answer it? Because that is crazy for somebody to come out and say that, oh man, we've already forgotten where we come from. But we also need to understand what is really happening at the end of the day. And I want us to be honest about all this topic and story. You have already watched the clips and the entire clips. I really hope you watched all of them. It's now my time to do the analysis or commentary. And I can tell you that you can clearly see the tension between Africans and the Black Americans. And this tension, from the videos, you can see that it's not something that just came up like recently. It's something that has been there. It has been existing for like decades. And of course, we are not actually going to focus so much on the negative side, but we are going to talk about the lack of connection between the two groups, black people, but they cannot connect at all, whether culturally, religiously, socially, and we're talking about distance here, because this other group, you'll find that the Black Americans or the black people, some of them have been born there, they've even never been to Africa. And I can tell you guys, at some point in my life, there is a time that I went to Germany, and in there I met black people, and then in my mind I knew that every black person is found in Africa, only for them to tell me that they have even never been to Africa, and I was shocked. I was really shocked because this person was just black like me. Anyway, guys, we will talk about cultural distance, historical distance, emotional distance, all this, because by talking about them, we will be able to be at a position whereby we will understand, like, why does these two groups don't connect at all. And my good people, you see, most of the time these friendships are between two people or between two groups. There are some aspects that normally miss in between, and you'll find them having misunderstanding. And it's important even for us to put it the same as that of friendship, so that we can be able to understand this particular topic. So I want us to talk about this statement, like, they have already forgotten where they come from. When an African says that statement, they'll be like, what do you mean? Or rather, if a black person says that, I have forgotten where I came from, I forgot where I came from, that is, for somebody like me, I'll be like, oh man, like, what are you saying? Make it make sense. What do you mean? Anyway, I am glad that, some will be like, you know what, guys, I am African by blood, but physically, yeah, I belong here. As much as they disconnected from their history, from their roots, from where they came from, they still identify Africa as home. But there is a big problem in between them, because at the end of the day, the black people will consider these black Americans, the Africans will consider these black Americans as not fully African. And that brings out identity issues. And of course, it's not going to go well with everyone. So over the years, history has evolved. And if you look at black Americans, they did not just leave Africa, they were taken forcefully through slavery, through force, through trauma. And if you meet somebody that was taken forcefully, you'll be like, they really feel bad about it. But of course, as of now, you cannot meet them, because those were like hundred of years ago. So that will mean that a generation will be lost in between. The language will be lost, the names, the culture, and everything. These people get new identity, the American culture, the American names, and that's not really forgetting. That's about erasing everything, erasing the history, erasing the names, erasing the culture. And of course, if you even go through history books, yeah, it will tell you that history already told us that all this has been erased and they're now incorporated into the American culture. So the African diaspora it consists of people that are from all over the world, but they have the same roots. At the end of the day, this African diaspora exists because people were taken to these places through slavery and immigration. So when anybody comes out and says that he or she already forgot where they came from, you will hear them choosing to forget. And of course, we wouldn't say take the whole word as it is. So there are so many reasons as to why Africans are actually speaking from their own perspective, because we are confused. We don't know what to believe and what not to believe. Because according to us, most Africans, we believe that Black Americans are purposely rejecting Africa, or they are actually distancing themselves. And we feel like some are even saying that they are not Africans and that they are Americans. And of course, we feel kind of type of tension here and there. But at the end of the day, what can we do, guys? Because as much as they feel very different, honestly, I can just say that, anyway, I don't know what you think about that. Probably you could comment in the comment section. Let us discuss about all these issues, because, if you go to most social media platforms, people are discussing and they're actually making a lot of noise about this topic. And of course, as much as not everybody is coming to speak out, there are some that have already come out, and those are the clips that we are analyzing in today's video. And the loudest voices at the end of the day does not mean that they're the most well informed. No, these are just clips that are being shared there with their own understanding of this particular issue of Black Americans versus the Africans. And at the end of the day, people around the world will be interested to discuss and talk about it, analyze, like what I'm doing now. And you actually, in our clip, in some part, you'll see analysts talking about modern globalization, online spaces that have come in and are now exposing these tensions. Because in the past there was no platform that was the platforms that existed were very limited, and now we have so many of them that others are even free, like they don't really limit a lot of data that, or a lot of information. So if you talk about stereotypes on both sides of the group, the Black Americans and Africans, I can tell you that both of them have stereotypes. Africans, they talk about Black Americans, right? And Black Americans, they talk about Africans. So in some instances, you'll find that Africans think that Black Americans are lazy, Black Americans are disconnected, Black Americans hate Africa. But at the end of the day, you see these same Black Americans having these thoughts of, Africans are backward and they are judgmental. These stereotypes, they are not like it's new, it has been there. And of course, I can tell you that it comes from ignorance side of the issue and lack of exposure at the same time. So there are so many myths and misconceptions and lack of cultural understanding from both sides. So we need to really understand these issues. And so many people have come out, they're speaking, and they really have opinions of what they think about the issue. And you know what, African Americans are talking, and Africans are talking, Black Americans are talking. So these people, the Black Americans, are saying that they haven't forgotten where they came from, because we were taken from this place to that place, and that doesn't mean that you've forgotten. So other black Americans will be like, we've already built our own culture, so why should we still embrace the African culture, yet we weren't brought up from there? And of course, if you look at that point of view, it's very true, by the way, because at the end of the day, the black American culture is very, very powerful. If you look at the music industry, the fashion industry, the language itself, the global influence, very powerful. But at the end of the day, Africans will be like, yeah, even if you are rejecting us, you still belong to Africa. And we cannot really say that Africans are wrong, no. So if actually you still talk about Black Americans versus the Africans, I can tell you that Black Americans are kind of African by ancestry, American by identity, you see. So at the end of the day, Africa is home. Africans on the other end, they are connected to the continent and to the culture. So the experiences are not the same. And of course, that is why there is these tensions between the two groups. So this conversation really matter, because we are talking about identity, we are talking about pain, history, pride. So we are seeing different emotional reactions from different people, and we need to understand, because at the end of the day, when questions arises about identity, it feels like an attack, and we need to understand that. So the main reason as to why there is this division of black versus the Africans versus the Black Americans, it's all about disconnection, by the way, nothing else. Africans grew up in Africa, Black Americans grew up in America, whereby they experienced this system that is shaped by slavery and segregation. You see, those are different experiences, different realities, different struggles, and at the end of the day, it will create a different perspective. So, do you think that this issue can be fixed? I don't know. Probably you can let us know in the comment section below. And I can tell you that if you talk about a solution to bringing together Africans and the Black Americans, I don't know what the solution could be, but probably education could work. Because if you learn about your history, the Black people learn about the history of the Africans learn the history of the Black Americans, then that could easily make them understand and appreciate each other's culture and everything and history. So cultural exchange between the two groups needs to happen, so that they get to learn from each other like one on one. One thing about cultural exchange, they normally happen live, like you meet Black Americans meet Africans. Yeah, and of course, people need to respect each other, not just have assumptions and perspectives on what they think about the other group, and what the other group think about this other one. So, the world, the global already, has divided the Black people by country. It has divided the Black people by culture and by experiences. So if we divide ourselves again, you see, it becomes even bad and disadvantageous, because if this comes in, then it is going to like widen the division gap in the first place, and it's very difficult to bring people together like most of the time. So what do you think? Do you really think, after we've discussed everything, do you really think that the Black Americans have forgotten where they came from, or or do you think it's just a misunderstanding from the African community? Thank you so much. If you watched the clip up to this point, I truly appreciate your presence. Remember that at the end of the day, we are connected, not by identity, but by culture, by history. And thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video, the same time.